Yeah, I'm about to talk, don't worry about it. Oh. Alright. If you're a regular fan of mine, you'll know that I've been having trouble with this bloody solar light because, like right now, it's blinding me. I'm sure in the near future, and when I mean near future, I mean you'll witness it with your own very eyes. This will slowly die. On another note, much more interesting note. All my notes are interesting, are they? On another note, I've been working all fucking day, and I just got home. Well, 3 hours. Okay, 3 hours ago. Time flies when you're having fun. I got home and I uploaded a video, the video about your average caveman day, and I suggest you watch it. And yes, you are going to be getting more caveman rant right now, because fucking, like I said, in average caveman day, ignore what I just did. Like I said, during average caveman day, always come back to caveman, always come back to caveman. And you're going to see this a lot in my videos, and this is no fucking different. This little rant I'm about to go on now. You know what I'm going to do, don't you? Are you getting excited? I'm getting excited. I have to make a video though, so I can't get too excited. I want to, actually, I just am going to dispel some myths about fucking teenagers. See, this light's dying already. Again, society gives you this impression that teenagers do things one way because of this reason, and teenagers should be doing this because of this reason. Of course, this light's dying already. Do I look slightly less good looking in the light, or better looking? Leave your comments. If you say I look better looking in low light conditions, I will delete your comment. No, I won't. I won't delete your comment. I don't know what I'll do. Maybe I will delete your comment. Anyway, back to my rant. My rant about teenagers. Yeah, so what I want you to do, to begin with, is everything you've been told about teenagers, just put that over there. Like, look to your right. Right now, look to your right. Now, dig into your brain. Like all this stupid little shit you got society tells you about teenagers. Get that all out of your head and throw it over there in the corner. Right there. You see it? It's over in the corner now. See it? See it? All that bullshit in the corner? Big pile of steaming shit in the corner? Good. Now, ignore it and then start fresh with me, as you should be doing. Society as a whole. This is light's dying already. Is this making any difference? Society as a whole views teenagers as kids. This is society's mindset, that teenagers are effectively children. That's the wrong mindset to have, and as you continue listening to my rant, you'll understand why. Society should see teenagers as adults. I mean, where do you draw the line between child and adult? Most people probably say 18, because that's what the government says. Well, I draw the line at about 13. And I'll explain why. I'm not just going to stare into the camera and repeat myself over and over again, although I am very tired and it's very tempting to just do that, because then I can just go, teenagers are adults. by 13. Did you get it yet? By 13. No, but I have to stay alert and pay attention. Back to caveman. Back to caveman. Yeah, these fucking leopard. Why would he bother covering his top? Unless you live in a cold climate. You see, living in Australia, living in a cold climate is like something like a really small group of people do in a different country, and no one actually does that except this small group of irrelevant people. But moving on, I understand cavemen would have lived in a cold climate, and this is completely irrelevant to my point, so I won't keep harping on about it. But back to caveman. As I have explained in my basics of parenting video, back in caveman, that some chick would have a kid, and then the kid's there, and they pick it up. We have a new child. And all the cave people were like, yeah, sweet, fucking oath, one didn't die before birth. Sweet, a living child. Is it a boy or a girl? Oh, it's a girl. They'll pick berries. Oh, I could go on a hunt. I'm not exactly sure what caveman did, but that's beside the point too. Now, currently, this young girl who is very small, and all it does is go whang, 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 and that's all it really can do. And then it's, sort of, they put it in a little makeshift caveman pram, which was probably like an emptied out coconut or something. And then they go on and do their thing and fucking be walking around and picking the berries and fucking, one's poisonous. I'm going to feel fucking shit later. Anyway, I'm going to try them. You never know. Might discover a new berry. That's how they would have found out in caveman days which fruits were good and which weren't. They'd have some taste tester who's probably like, the dunce of the tribe, and they go, "Well, you, woo, eat that. What if I don't? We're gonna kill ya." Oh, that's okay. What kill me anyway? What was I? Oh yeah. And this young girl is currently useless to everyone. She is a leech. She is not contributing to this tribe which is living on the edge, because at the time, the tribes, the cavemen, didn't have all these supermarkets and fucking buses and fucking, settling payments, social security and shit. They didn't have that. So they were living on the edge, and they could get attacked by bears at any minute. And the bear would wipe out a couple of key members of the tribe, and then they'd have to fucking keep on living anyway. They were living on the edge, these people. So they can't afford to have a small human being a leech. So they had to raise it up, teach it everything ASAP. Now. As soon as it can theoretically do something, it does it. Because it can't be a leech on the tribe, because the tribe's living on the edge, so it can't be a fucking leech. So, it gets to a point of this little human being's life where it has to operate like an adult now. Now, the modern world will tell you that it operates like an adult now at age 18. But biology is disagreeing with that. And cavemen disagree with that. Cavemen had to raise this up to be an adult as soon as possible. And there's a really obvious biological cutoff. Puberty. That's the point where this human being has to function like an adult now. May not be fully grown, but it must be self-sufficient. That's the cutoff. So that's the point. They are now adults. And you have to... this is the basis to understanding teenagers. For example, people say, oh, teenagers are always rebelling. Why are they doing that? Well, it's because of their hormones. Yeah, that's an interesting theory. Hormones. Don't we all have hormones though? Yeah, but like teenagers have like this many hormones, and we only have this many hormones. And so the reason they're hard to deal with is because they have this many hormones. That's a really fantastic theory. And there may be some truth to it, like, there may be some truth to this, but the reason they're rebelling is because nature is telling them you're supposed to be self-sufficient now. You're supposed to be on your own. You're supposed to be doing your own thing. And that's how I've been biologically wired, because back into caveman day, they had to raise this kid so fast that by the time it hit puberty, it kind of just knew everything anyway, all the important stuff. And you can teach your kids all the important stuff by the age of 12 easily. And that's what you should be doing. That should be your basic mindset. At 12, 13, 14, it depends on the kid, they are now adults. So they're not going to listen to you anymore. This is why they don't listen to you anymore. Do you listen to other adults very much? Well, maybe not. The reason teenagers are rebelling is because nature's saying, go forth and spread the seed. And society's saying, nah, don't do that. And so there's this pull. And in between, people think, it must be hormones. Must be hormones. It's puberty. Hormones. No. It's just because you've got an adult now and you're trying to control this adult. How would you like it if someone came into your life, walked into your house and said, how you going? For the next 6 years, I'm going to treat you like a child. And you better fucking put up with it. How would you like that? Probably not very much, right? No. And teenagers are no different. They're supposed to be going out into the world. And not with you anymore. They're not supposed to be with you anymore. That's why teenagers rebel. Because they're supposed to be out there, society says, hold them back. So what do you have? Tension equals rebellion. It doesn't necessarily equal hormones. This is very convenient for society to just blame a word. Let's blame hormones. That's a good word. Let's blame that. So you have to be in the mindset where by the age of 12, your kids are now adults. You have to be in that mindset. And so you have to teach them everything by the age of 12. You don't wait till 11 and then flood them with everything. Because it's like school. It's like university. You can't do a law degree in a year. It takes 4 or 5 years or whatever the fuck it is. You know, gradual coaching. From day one, as soon as they can theoretically do something, they're doing it. Because they can't be a leech on the tribe. So it's like gradual coaching. Can they do this now? Are they old enough? Yep. Okay. Yep. You're just doing this all the time. It's not these big leaps. Do nothing, 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 nothing. Let's make a big leap. No, no, no. You have to think of this like school or university. Raise your kids as quickly as possible and be in the mindset they are adults by 12 because they're going to fucking act like it. And they're not going to listen to you anymore after 12, so they have to be fully raised by 12. Got it? They must know everything by then. Everything you could possibly teach them, they must know by 12. 12. Now, anything you don't teach them, expect problems in that area in the future. It's like well, school. You know, you go to maths class and they learn their times tables, their plus tables, their minus tables, I'm not sure if there's such thing, their division tables, and then they move on to doing long division, long time since I've done maths, and then they do algebra and bloody quantum physics. I don't know. I'm not even 100% sure what quantum physics is. Calculus, trigonometry, and other shit. Now, for example, let's use trigonometry for example. If you teach them algebra, calculus, quantum physics, times tables, division tables, but you don't teach them trigonometry, and then they go out there in the world, and then one day they have to do trigonometry, what do you think is going to happen? What the fuck is this? Other people can do it. How come they can do it but I can't? I must suck. And expect problems. It's not a hard concept to figure out. Anything you don't teach them, expect problems in the future. Just like any, you go to a maths exam and, there's been 5 basic subjects for the maths exam and you just didn't teach them one, expect them to fail that subject. Pretty simple, right? So, don't leave any holes. And another thing that's a big fucking piss-weak fucking society myth. They say, oh, teenagers, they're so confused. I was so confused as a teenager. They don't know fucking shit. Do you know why? Do you know the main reason teenagers are confused? You're probably thinking, it's probably that hormone triple. No, it's not hormones. It's the exact same thing as the maths example. They go to a maths exam, you teach them this, 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 and this, but not this. And then when they have to go out in the real world and deal with this, they're confused. They're like, what the fuck is this? What do I do? Confused teenagers are only confused because their parents fucked up. Their parents didn't teach them enough. And so when they go out there and they have to deal with the real world, they go out there, they've been taught nothing about the maths exam. And then they go out there in the real world, what the fuck? Now that's a confused teenager. But if you teach them stuff, they go out there in the real world, like, oh, I've heard about that before. I know the basics of that. I know about that too. There's confused adults as well. They probably had the same problem. So, don't leave any holes. Confused teenagers, they're only confused because their parents didn't teach them stuff. Simple as that. You have to raise your kids by the age of 12. Teach them everything you know, ASAP. And if there's any gaps, expect problems in that area in the future. And the reason teenagers are confused is because you didn't teach them something. Now, keeping in mind that once kids hit 12, 13, roughly, they're now adults, right? If you've been listening to my rant, you'd be like, yeah, told us, mate. Hope you've been paying attention. So they're now adults, and they want to go away from you, which biology is saying, yes, they should be going away from you. So, what if they're not? What if you're not really got a leash around their neck and going, What if you're not really doing that? But they're not leaving. You should be pushing them out the door because they're already adults now, and they're biologically should be self-sufficient. And if you've been doing your job properly, they will be. So they should be out there. What if they're not leaving? Now this is actually worse than rebellion. The reason kids won't leave is because you fucked up. Major. Now, with the modern world, one of the reasons kids don't leave is because they've got a huge addiction to something. They're so addicted to something only the home life can provide. This is not an unusual problem in the world. I've seen it numerous times. They're addicted to their computers. And so they hit this point where they're supposed to be out in the world. Fucking heaps of girls. Going out there, making new friends. Fixing cars. Doing shit like that. That's what they're supposed to be doing. But the reason they're not is because they're addicted. They've got an addiction. A real addiction. It's like if you were I'll give you a very, very similar example. Imagine you have some kids, and then each day you inject them with a little bit of heroin, and then the kids get older, and they go, "Oh, can I please have some more heroin?" "Yeah, sure." Next day, "Can I please have some more heroin?" "Yeah, sure." "Can I please have some more heroin?" "Yeah, sure." And then they hit 12 when they're supposed to be out there. You've been injecting this little bit of heroin every day. And they don't know where else to get this heroin. They have to come back. They're so addicted to this easy source of heroin that they never leave. That's really, really bad. Another reason they may never leave. One, you haven't taught them jack shit. So they're so confused about the real world, they're actually scared to go out in it. Yes. There is a opposite. Now the opposite is where the kids physically get kicked out. They don't want to leave, but they physically get kicked out. And I suggest this is better than giving them a shot of electronic heroin every day. This is where the kids are physically kicked out and not welcome back at like age 12 or something. This is not ideal either, because one, if you had raised them properly, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But if you hadn't, and then you kick them out, expect a whole range of problems to ensue from here. But this is better than the little shot of heroin option, because they're out there learning from bitter experience. They haven't learned it from you, but they're learning it from bitter experience. So this is a crash course on life. Getting kicked out of the house. And so by the time this 12-year-old is 18 compared to the 12-year-old that's had its little shot of heroin every day, the 18-year-old who was kicked out of the house will actually be more developed than the 18-year-old that got the little shot of heroin every day. So neither of those situations are ideal. But your kids after the age of 14 should practically never be at home. They should come home to sleep and maybe do a bit of homework, even though I'm really not a big fan of the school system. But they should really just come home to sleep. And if they're not, that's bad, that's a problem. Why don't they want to be with their friends? There's something that's fucked up in their psychology that's actually keeping them at home. So something's fucked up, so make sure that doesn't happen. And if you follow my little little plan about constant coaching. And by the age of 12, that's where you start from 0, here's 12, and you just constantly go to the point where you've got nothing left to teach them. Because that's what cavemen did. Now, when I was younger, I was always thought parents that parents that sent their kids to boarding schools were fucking like evil cunts. But now that I'm older, I think, that makes perfect sense. Because kids past the age of 14 aren't biologically programmed to be living at home anymore anyway. And they're more biologically programmed to be living with people their own age and some sort of a group of elders. So that's boarding school for you. Now, if you've raised them properly to the age of 12 and then send them off to boarding school, I reckon that's probably close to the ideal way to raise your kids. Probably the other ideal is that you raise them properly and then are very, very selective and very mindful of their development. Like, once they've hit 12 and they're adulthood and shit, and you make sure, they're out enough. And, if you've done your job properly, this won't be a big problem. But boarding school's fine. If you've raised them properly, boarding school is fucking good. So, in summary, sorry, this video, I probably haven't been as fucking honest as I normally have, but fucking like I said, I had a big day at work. Yes, so in summary, think of cavemen. They had to raise their kids fast. And by the age of about 12, they're finished. And then it's like a little maintenance program. Just sort of monitor them a little bit. Did I forget anything? Hopefully not. They should know everything by the age of 12. Everything important. Obviously, fucking little details will take time to figure out. But everything important. So you have to be in a coaching and habitualizing mindset. Right? And teenagers, this hormones bullshit, that's just a buzzword. It's essentially just a fucking buzzword. And it's probably some fucking doctor coming here, well, they have more testosterone than fucking blah, 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 blah. Yes, but the reason they're rebelling isn't because of that. It's because they're supposed to be out there. And if they're not rebelling, it's worse. Teenagers are confused if you didn't teach them stuff, no big mystery, just like, remember the maths thing? If you don't teach your kids something, expect problems in that area. Do I really have to elaborate? And boarding school's not a bad option, so that's my summary. And I'm going to watch this back, make sure it's not completely boring as bad shit.